Tyler Perry comes out with a new project, I debate with myself on whether or not I'm going to watch it, with myself on whether or not I'm going to review it, because I never want to be someone who is just constantly tearing down someone who is creating a new lane for themselves, and especially in a marginalized space where they're the only ones at that level doing it. However, Tyler keeps proving the naysayers right in many ways. So yes, he's making a lot of money. Yes, he is being successful in giving job opportunities to Black actors, and those are very important things. But when it comes to his artistry and to the stories he's telling, that's the problem that the critics are having. And it's not so much that the stories that they are telling aren't worthy, it's that he doesn't have enough of discernment within him to kind of flesh out the things in the stories that don't make sense, that are illogical, to give us well-rounded characters, to really present on screen an image worth looking at. It's like he is making paperback trash romances on these cheap budgets, but he's a billionaire filmmaker. And it just doesn't logically make sense. We're not getting enough nuance from him. I would say that 6888 was a great stride in potentially the right direction. And some of Tyler Perry's work has merit. As someone who was an OG fan of his during his church play era, it does, however, feel at times that he really used the church community to come up and gain wealth. And he's since kind of abandoned that community. He's not really making content that really appeals to that community anymore. And I don't just mean in the sense of like, well, Christians can cuss and drink and that kind of thing. Sure, I mean, you can always have elements of that. But he's very much going kind of off the deep end. Now, I will say this about his newest project, Duplicity. I feel as though there was an attempt by Tyler to perhaps steer the ship in a better direction. With Duplicity, you have a lot of good things working for it, so I don't want this to come off as a strict negative video. You have Kat Graham, who we know has been done very dirty by the television community during her days of The Vampire Diaries, and seeing her on screen and getting work and flourishing is always going to be an amazing thing. You have very competent actors like Tyler Lepley, who is in Harlem, who actually like in Harlem. You have Megan Tandy, who was pretty okay in this movie for the first part of it and then fell off in the second, and I really think that has to do with the script, because she turns into this character that we'll talk about later. And then Ronrico Lee, who has a career that fluctuates a lot, and he can be really good at what he does, but with the wrong script in the wrong hands, again, comes off kind of cartoonish. So in Duplicity, you have the story of really these two women. One is a news reporter and one is a lawyer, and they're best friends, and they are both in relationships. The news reporter is married and the lawyer is currently dating in a long-term relationship, and they're trying to bring their men together and to be able to have double dates and have a good time. You know, all the things that girls dream about with doing with their good girlfriends. When they are hit by an incredibly hard event that takes place, which is the death of one of, and it is at the hands of a white police officer. So we have a little, Black Lives Matter moment going on in this film, where it's like, is it a wrongful death shooting, and why did this happen, and is the white police officer racist? And so you have these two women at the center of this, the wife, the reporter, and then you have the lawyer who's going to fight for her friend, to vindicate him in the press, vindicate him in the courts, and also help her friend to get the healing that she needs in order to go on with her life. On that premise alone, it's not a horrible premise, but you do have to be very careful when you are telling these stories that are centered around real life Black struggles. We see this all the time in police dramas, that they'll do this to humanize the police and to kind of give a propaganda moment where you have a Black police officer who's wrestling with what's ever happened with their white police officer friends, or a Black police officer who's at the core of it, but they really didn't mean any harm and it wasn't meant to be racist, but maybe there's some internalized bias going on. You have these things that happen, and even when they're happening, if it's not meant to humanize the victim at the center of it, it always comes across as cheap and just plot device, because this stuff is happening in real life and it's being politicized and it's being legalized and all of these different things. So this is what you have at the center of Tyler Perry's Duplicity. And I will say this, the acting was a lot better to me in this film than in his last 2 films in a similar vein. What I mean by that is, of course, Mea Culpa, which starred Kelly Rowland and Trevante Rhodes, and then Divorce in the Black, which stars Megan Good and Tia Mowry's ex-husband, Corey Hardin. And the acting just wasn't really good in those films. And I think a lot of it has to do with the supporting cast. I am not a fan of Richard Lawson. I don't like his acting. He always comes across as stiff. He doesn't have good line delivery, so I don't like him in any of those projects. So Divorce in Black really took me out of it. Debbie Morgan is a great actress when she's given a certain type of part. I didn't like her in Divorce in the Black. I don't like her in Beauty and I love Debbie Morgan from back in the day. I think those kinds of stately, regal characters that she plays are great, but there's a thin line. And then with Mea Culpa, there just wasn't much story there. Again, you had Kelly Rowland. Kelly can be an okay actress when given the right script. Trevante Rhodes, excellent actor. And then Ronrico Lee was in it as well, but he had a very small part and he wasn't really present as much. That script was very cartoon. All of these scripts were coming off as very cartoonish, very much written by ChatGPT. So what we know about Tyler is going to slap his name on everything to make sure that you know it's him. Tyler Perry's Duplicity. Duplicity is a title that has been used a lot, so we're going to put Tyler Perry's Duplicity on it. And Duplicity is going to tell you out the gate that it has to do with the character having a dual nature. So we already are knowing going into this that we're suspecting that what we see is not what we get, and that someone at the center of this friend group is probably at the center of what has happened. So already I'm suspicious, and I'm kind of going ahead and calling and guessing certain things. And so I'm not shocked by anything, is first and foremost. The only thing I am shocked by is Tyler Perry's audacity in using a BLM plot line, which is really happening, to then victimize the white police officer at the center of the shoot. How you fix yourself to do that and no one in the room calls that out is preposterous. And I think there's a way to go about doing that where at its core, even if you are saying the person who is at the center of the shooting didn't have any biases, you still have to be able to kind of interrogate the system, which would have police officers who are here to protect and serve, but be militarized against the public is not okay. And so you have to come back to criticizing that. So to me, the best thing about Tyler Perry's Duplicity was Kat Graham, because Kat Graham is a competent actress, and I think she helped. I will say I thought that there was a lot more dialogue in this than some of his other movies, which was an improvement. But was that dialogue great? No. Now, the other thing that I have, as I tried to watch this movie, and I genuinely tried to kind of treat it like, I think I said in my last video, I was going to start treating Tyler Perry like he is a Lifetime movie director. And I feel like that is okay. I feel like he's kind of asking us to not treat him like an Ava DuVernay or a Ryan Coogler or a Spike Lee. He doesn't want to be those things, and that's fine. He wants to be a Lifetime movie director, essentially, and that's okay. There would be room enough for all of that. And really, I will say I genuinely did not go into this movie trying to rage watch. I saw the premise. I was like, oh, this looks interesting. Kat Graham. Honestly, Kat Graham was what sold me. I was like, I'm going to watch this because of Kat Graham. I want to support her. Ever since she came out about how she was treated on the set of Vampire Diaries and what she's gone through behind the camera with like her hair and things like that, I was like, I'm going to support this. So I was going to watch this just to support her. That said, aside from kind of the rage baity, clickbaity use of Black Lives Matter and police brutality as a plot device that is not used well, that then is used to victimize a white police officer in this, okay, you have that part. You have the part of it where Tyler doesn't seem to have people with competent taste helping him to vet these scripts. I write the script and I don't trust anybody else to put eyes on the script and to say, I think this is good or I think this is not good. And I mean diverse voices. Like, you can't just pass it off to one or two people. You need to have people who are sensitive to the culture, who are known for being sensitive to the culture and what the culture is taking in and what is good for the culture. You have to have people who have taste with regards to writing and have good writing taste taking this in. And then you have to have somebody from your target audience who can also vet and make sure that it's entertaining. And I think if you have all of those voices in the room, then you could get some good scripts. But I do feel like more than anything, this project was very clickbaity based off of Tyler Perry's interview with Keke Palmer, where he talked about kind of the elite film critics who don't want to hear our stories. And the thing that I have to say about that is, where are the our stories that he name dropped? Because he was talking about beauty salons and talking about maids. But yet again, we have a movie about wealthy Black people who are committing wrongdoing. These people were a news reporter, a former police officer who now is a private eye, police officer, a lawyer, like living in wealthy houses. Where are the regular everyday folks in any of this? Because what this is this is an hour and a half long soap opera. And if that's what you want to make, say that, but don't tell us that you're telling our stories when that's not what we're getting. You're not directing or writing or producing a story about a family. Where is your version of Randall and Beth from This Is Us? Where is your version of Blackish or of The Cosby Show or of A Different World? Where is your version of Rock? Where is your version of Degrassi? Where is your version of, and I'm just naming all of these shows that kind of center middle class and in some cases lower class families? Where's your version of Roseanne? Where's your version of the PJs? It feels disingenuous when you say that critics just don't want to hear our stories. And what we're saying is we want our stories to be good stories. Not good as in everybody has to be good, but good as in well-rounded. Good as in it tells the diversity of Black people. We've had enough, I feel like, at this point now of wealthy Black people being depicted as being bad. And like, why is that also the narrative that wealthy Blackness is bad? It's bad, it's raunchy, it's over-sexualized. Like, why is it all of that? We have that from you, and then we have 50 Cent out there giving us 50,000 versions of Power. Where are those regular stories? Because at this point now, Blackish has been off the air for a little while, 3 or 4 years, if I'm not mistaken. And even that was a wealthy Black family. So I don't want to be tearing down Tyler again and again, because here's the thing, Duplicity wasn't horrible. It wasn't the worst thing that I've seen all year. It probably won't be the worst thing that I see all year. It probably won't be the worst thing I've seen. I don't think. Probably not. I mean, like I said, the acting was marginally better than a lot of his other projects, because these are all people who have been acting for a while and were able to give some tonal inflections and things of that nature. So that part was good. There was more dialogue in it. That part was good. Did we get the same retired, recycled sets? Yes. That house that they're in at the end of the movie is the same house that the younger brother lives in when Debbie Morgan rolled up on him naked, butt naked, knocking boots in Beauty in Black. It was the same house. I was like, oh, that's the Beauty in the Black house. Okay. So we're getting the same tired recycled sets. I think at one point we saw a set that was used in Fall from Grace. Marginally better hair in this, given the criteria and everything, but it was very much giving Double Jeopardy, but without a Double Jeopardy writing, crew, director, any of that. And so that's, I think, what we're saying is, I think if Tyler wants to dabble in making these quick turnaround, quick budgeted, quick films, and he wants to do that so that he can make a lot of money and pay his actors well, it would be nice if we could get that sprinkled in with some well-made stuff. And it can't come every 10 years. Like, we can't wait every 10 years for a 688, which was good, but it still was flawed. It still wasn't the best thing ever. It wasn't the best period piece, and as someone who loves a good period piece, even an educational one, even a Black historical one, it's not a piece I will go back to again and again. It's just not. It's just not. It centered too many things that I was very uncomfortable with, that I didn't think it was doing it well, and even in the way that it was made, it just felt like the script was still thin, but it was better than a lot of his stuff. So it would be nice if we could just get some diversity for him. That said, I'm in this era of life where I definitely don't want to be a critic who tries to demand of filmmakers that they make stuff for me, make the things that you love. But I just think, don't be disingenuous about why critics are not fans of what you're producing. And this felt very rage baity. This felt like I'm taking everything they said against me, but I'm going to throw it back in their face. You don't like to hear my stories? I'm going to use Black Lives Matter, but I'm going to use it the way I want to use it. So at the end of the day, the white person is going to be the victim in it. Multiple white people technically were victims in this movie in a way that didn't feel comfortable or good or revolutionary or any of those things. So great. That was great. Not really. And I am going to fix the wigs. And I am going to, have some good actors and actresses in there. But I'm going to use sets that I have used all the time. And I'm going to recycle old sets. Probably filmed this the exact same time he was filming Beauty in Black. So he just recycled those sets. He said, well, we got this house for 3 days. We rented this house for 3 days. So boom, where can we use it? Boom, boom, boom. Let's call everybody on set. We're going to film all 3 projects at this house. That's probably what happened. I don't know. I keep wanting to show up and support more because I do applaud Tyler for using people who aren't getting as much use as they should from the Hollywood machine. But I just think there's some growth to be had. And at the bare minimum at this point now, be like, was it Harlan Coben? Slap your name on something, but let somebody else write it. Slap your name on it, but let somebody else direct it. You're producing it. It can still say Tyler Perry on it. So I just think, it doesn't have to be you all the time. Let me know in the comments what you thought about Duplicity, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Toodles.